Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Standard 81 podcast. I'm your host, Sincere, and we're going to be talking about dating in this new era tonight. But before I begin, I want you to guys go ahead and hit the like, share, and subscribe. Hit like, share, and subscribe if you. Oh wow, the Wi-Fi glitch. Uh, Go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe. If you are new to the channel, let me know. And if you're watching this on the second watch, type in the comment second watch. I am live right now. I did put uh, the link in the comments there below. So if you want to join in, let me know as well. Let's go ahead and get this started. So tonight, here's what I want. I wanted tonight. Here's what I want to talk about. In this day and age, we see that everything is being redefined, and with everything being redefined uh, or being demolished, we also seeing a lot of good, but we're also seeing a lot of negatives, right? And as far as we see, as far as relationships and dating, we're starting to see a lot of the consequences that have happened from trying to redefine what dating is and how relationships are supposed to go. And my hope is tonight that I can share a little bit of light on what dating really is and how we define it all together, and share some statistics, some current statistics on what dating looks like in this modern era, and hopefully give you some insight to how we fix this thing, right? So I got my iPhone here because I took some notes. Um, as I said, I didn't do this last week because I wanted to do some more research, but the research I did was a bit overwhelming, and I didn't want to put too much out here tonight, so I kind of condensed it into a smaller form. So here's what I came up with first. Let's define the word dating. See, here in this day and age, we're trying to, once again, like I just said, we're trying to redefine everything. But here's what I think is part of the problem. When you start redefining and taking away things, and wanting to reshape things in the way that you may feel that they're supposed to be, you start to lose a lot of the context of what it really is. So, in defining words, we begin to see the proper perspective of what things are and what things are not. And it kind of helps to guide us in the proper directions and see what avenues we really need to take, right? Because I believe there's a distinctive difference between a relationship and dating. And here's the reason why. Dating, as defined in the Webster's Dictionary, is the time in which an event occurs, an appointment to meet with a significant person, or at a specific time. Once again, I'm going to read that again. A time in which an event occurs, an appointment to meet at a specific time with a person. That is what the word dating means. So we, as dating as we know it, is all wrong. We think that when we say we're dating, we're in a relationship. Wrong. What we're doing is we're checking out different people at different dates and times. We're setting up different meetings, going to different events, and we're meeting with these people. So I think if we get that locked in first, that dating is just simply meeting with a person at a specific date and at a specific time, we'll have a little less problems out here when it comes to dating. Because what you're essentially doing, and I use these comparisons a lot, is going out on different interviews with different people to see if y'all even get along for the potential of a relationship. I'm going to say that one more time. When you are dating, you are setting up different times and different places and different occasions to interview these people to see if there is potential for a relationship. This is where we get all these extra words from situationships and casual affairs and all this good stuff. We're really using those terminologies to say that we're dating and we're in this middle ground where we don't have a relationship but we want one, and we haven't quite evaluated, or we have evaluated, and either one party feels this way and one party feels that way, or both parties just want something completely sorry about that glitch. Both parties want something different, or something completely opposite, right? And that's where that's what I think we're falling into in this day and age, and trying to do that. So that's what the word dating means, and we need to start looking at that, which brought me right into the next point. We need to know what dating is not. Dating is not a relationship. Once again, I'll repeat that. Dating is not a relationship. As according to the definition you've seen, it's just setting up time and places with different people. And I think a lot of people get upset with other people for dating when what they were really looking for is a relationship. So make your intent while you're out there dating known to the other person. So this way you're not disappointed in your and going out on different dates. And I think as adults who are out here dating, and I'm saying adults as in 25 and up, going up, right? Because there are even older people out here on the dating market. We need to be more intentional about what we want when we go to set up dates, or when we are in the dating phase. So this way we can prevent a lot of the unnecessary trauma, drama, and stress that we often put ourselves through, thinking that this dating thing is a relationship when it's really not, right? So what is the purpose of dating, which is the next point. The purpose of dating is simply what the definition is. We're going to different places with different people to figure out whether or not we want a relationship with them, whether or not this is somebody we could see ourselves with, whether it's long term or short term, right? And for those of you that are seeking marriage, you may only date one at a time. If you're seeking something more casual, you may date several different people. This is not to say that one thing is better than the other, but or one thing is bad and one thing is good, but your intent behind it is where things get messy, right? And we've lumped intentionality for relationships all into this word dating, and we wonder why it's not working. This is why I say we need to define what words mean as they are now in the present, and stop trying to redefine things so much to the point where they're getting confused and jumbled up all in a mix, and then we're wondering why we are lost and confused in this whole thing. Because in this new era, there's enough confusion, there's enough emotionalism, there's enough all this stuff that we don't need another thing to come and have us reevaluating everything we ever know. We need solid foundations, we need solid definition, we need structure. And I don't know if you've watched any of my videos from a while back now, but I've talked about structure. I've talked about discipline. I've talked about all this stuff. And as much as I tell the man that they need it, because I am a man and I think that is very important, it's important to have that discipline, even for women in your own life, and make sure that everything you do has intentionality. Here's where I think we go wrong, right? A lot of times we leave this dating phase to with the potential of getting into relationship up to chance instead of defining clearly what it is we're looking for, what it is our intent is out here. And then by the time we get around to actually looking at that phase, our expectations are stupid high and our walls are up so high that it makes it extremely difficult to begin to connect with people. So let's move into that next chapter where we begin to say, okay, look, we got this portion of our lives, and this is exactly what we want from it. And as we do that, I believe we'll have better results. Now, here's the next point. What is the difference between dating and courting? Easy. If you look at the current definition of dating, which I'm gonna continue to come back to the whole time of this, you'll see it's time and place. But when you're courting somebody, what you are essentially doing is saying, now I'm in a phase with you within this relationship where I am looking to see all the potential you have to be a future spouse. Whether it's a husband or whether it's a wife, you're evaluating characteristics, you're evaluating their values, you're seeing if you're in alignment, you're seeing if your families, if the way you were raised matched up. You're doing all these things to kind of see if life together with each other is going to be in balance and in harmony. And as a Christian myself, I believe one of the first things you need is to make sure that your foundation of your faith needs to be the first thing you need to look at. The first. Without that, you have nothing. Because your whole life revolves around that one central point, your belief in your faith, your belief in Christ, your belief in God. That's what the whole thing revolves around. And if you don't have that, you have no foundation. You have no ground in which to stand on because now you're just leaving it up to chance. You're just leaving it because when that becomes your moral compass, your foundation, which all your life is structured upon, then you can begin to see things that may not be so clear. And you can begin to ask God, is this person truly for me? Or do I just need to make adjustments in my life in order to help figure out things? Because oftentimes I think we're quick to walk away from situations when things get difficult, thinking that somehow having another person is going to make life that much easier. I once heard this. In marriage and relationships, God is not trying to make things necessarily easier. What He is trying to do is show you how selfish you really are and humble you and pull all that out of you. Because think of how unselfish you have to become in order to be vulnerable, truly vulnerable, love unconditionally, submit to a person. All these things that we talk about uh, when you start talking about relationships and marriage and while you're in the dating phase, right? You can't really do anything like that if all you're looking at is what you can get and what you can obtain from another person. So to go back to that point, in the courting phase is where you're evaluating all these things, where you're beginning to have these deep discussions, where it's no longer about what do you like and how do you like your pillows to be fluffed. It's now getting down to the core essential values. Not saying that you haven't already discussed these, because you went into your dating phase with intentionality if you've been paying attention the whole time. But now you're really starting to get into some depth, because here's what I think happens. A lot of times we get into relationships and we think that it's supposed to be one way because we have all these expectations of another person, and we've never even talked about them. So after all the honeymoon is over, after all the butterflies are gone, after everything has happened, you start feeling disappointed because it's not the idea you had in your mind. But you got to realize you're working with another person. They're different from you. You have some commonalities, but you may have been raised different. You may have different thoughts about different thoughts about things. You may have different ways that you tend to move. You may be moving in an entirely different direction from the way this person is. And it doesn't mean that these people are bad people. It just means that maybe you two are not supposed to be together. Maybe that's why it's such a difficult thing. Pastor once said this to me. You can find the right person at the wrong time and it's wrong. You can find the wrong person at the right time and it's wrong. And you can find the right person at the right time and then it's right. So notice two out of those three is still wrong. If the timing is off for you, then it's wrong. If the person, if you're in the correct season and the person is wrong, it's still wrong. And I think oftentimes we want to try to fit people into a system that they may not be approved for, or put people in a position that they may not be approved for or they don't qualify for. And then other times I feel like we don't give them enough grace. And it's up to you. It's up to you and God to sit there and determine how that rolls. Here's my last point before I start reading off uh, some facts about dating. Right, we need to stop redefining things. And like I stated in the beginning, we have spent so much time trying to redefine stuff and say what stuff is and isn't, that now we've totally confused ourselves, and we're left with our own ideas, not knowing which direction to go. And we're starting to see the effects of it. We're starting to see what happens when you begin to want to redefine stuff and say that things should be different, and it's not the and it's not the way it needs to be. We hear more and more people talk about things need to go back to the way they were. We hear more and more people saying we need traditional values. We hear more and more people beginning to say we need to go back to the family structure. Why is this? It's because we've sat there for so long now and tried to redefine everything that we've tried has led us into complete and utter chaos. And the only thing we can do is go back to which we came from and try to figure out how we make things better from that point. So, having said that, let me read off some facts about dating. And I'll look this up on Forbes Health, right? And I'm going to read off some US dating statistics here, right? So, statistic number one, uh, 45% of Americans say it is harder dating now than 10 years ago. Just a decade. It is harder dating now than it was 10 years ago. What has changed? Everything. The way we move, the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we think, the our purposes in life. It's all gone crazy. Now, here's a statistic y'all might find particularly funny, because with the rise of, oh, I don't do this and I don't do that, and you know, people wanting all these lavish lifestyles, you might be curious to find out that Americans are choosing more inexpensive activities like hiking or instead of going out to eat, with 55% of people hosting first dates at their home, and 45% of people going on virtual dates. I'm going to read that statistic one more time. 55% of people doing first dates at home, and 45% of people doing virtual dates. So all this foolishness about, oh, you need to spend this much and you got to remember, once again, dating is about setting up a time and a place and evaluating. This is not about a oh, you got to showcase everything you got. You're on an interview. So wherever you show up, you bring your best self. It's not about the particular place. You bring your best characteristics to that date. Then maybe you get a second interview. Maybe you get a third interview, and then maybe you get the position. Let's read some more of these statistics, right? It says dating surveys from the Survey Center show that is more American life for women is more likely harder for their dating perspectives and what their expectations are. As college educated women are more specific and seem to have higher standards for dating prospects. And that one's not uncommon. We've heard that one stated several times. The more educated young women seem to be, the more the expectations grow. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but in order to find what you want, sometimes you got to be willing to compromise on the things that you need. Well, the things that you feel are important. If you find somebody that cares for you and has respect for you, is it really worth saying, oh, you got to have a high education from here, here, here? I understand you want a person to have a job. I understand you want them to be established as an adult. But some of the expectations are crazy. Uh, Here's another statistic. More than 1,000 Americans have revealed nearly half, that's 48%, think their mental health is more important than marriage, followed by another 44% stating physical health is more important. 31% thinking personal growth is most important, and 25% saying being debt free is important. I'll read that statistic one more time. 48% say mental health is the most important thing, that more important than marriage. 44% stating physical health. 31% uh, personal growth, and 25% saying debt free. Now, I'm not saying any of this is bad, but when you start to uh, think that things things like this are more important than your actual dating perspective, then you're going to have poor results, because now you're beginning to evaluate what you think is important versus what the reality is that's being shown to you. And I'm not saying, let me say this. I'm not saying that none of this is wrong. I'm not saying having good mental health is wrong, or being physically fit is wrong, or personal growth is wrong, or being debt free is wrong. But a lot of these things can be worked on as you build in a relationship, as you are dating. because nobody's ever going to be perfect. And if you're sitting there waiting for things to be absolutely perfect before you begin that process, you are going to be alone. That's the problem. That's part of the problem. We're expecting perfection out of imperfect beings. And there's only been one perfect person that has ever walked this earth. And whether you are a Christian or not, you know this to be true. Christ was the only perfect person to ever walk this earth. So if your name is not Jesus Christ of Nazareth, you can forget the perfection part of this because all of us are flawed. All of us have problems. All of us have insecurities. All of us, I don't care what you say. You can say, I've been working on myself. I've improved. I got debts. My debts is totally free and all this other stuff. But none of that really takes effect until you put it into practical application. And for a lot of us, we begin to figure out that, oh, all this work we say we did is really not as effective as we thought. Because now, when we're in the situation with somebody, when we're in that relationship, we have to begin to apply that knowledge. It's not as easy as we thought it was. It's easier to walk away and stay by yourself. Last statistic. It says half of US adults, 52%, have said they have never been married or never lived with a partner, never lived with a partner. Most are, let me reread this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm scratching my foot here because it was itching there. It says about half of US adults, 52%, have said they have never been married or lived with a partner and are more likely to date online, while 36% of Americans who are divorced or separated or widowed are just now trying online dating, which shows us both part of the problem and some solutions to this, right? Because I'm not against online dating. I'm not. But the problem with online dating is we never get to a point where we're physically communicating with each other. We're never getting to a point where we are beginning to look at each other and talk to each other. We just keep everything online. So this way we don't have to be vulnerable. This way we're closed off, right? But here's the good thing about online dating. It does give us a lot more options. It does broaden our perspective. It does allow us to see people that maybe we can't touch in the beginning. But the whole point of dating is to evaluate so that you can go on to the next step and then the next step and then the next step. The problem here is that nobody wants to take the next steps. And everybody wants to continue to complain about dating in this modern era. So, to close this all out, dating in this modern era doesn't need to be complicated. What it simply needs to be is is looked at from the perspective it's supposed to be looked at, and done the way it's supposed to be done. Let's stop trying to change the reality of what these things are and really start defining the things the way they're supposed to be. And when we do that, we'll have better results. Concentrate on your faith, concentrate on finding your core values out there, and go out there as you're in the dating phase with intentions of what you want from it. And I promise you, you'll find what you need. You may not find everything you want, but I promise you, you will find what you need. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Guys, that's it. This particular thing is over. Please, please like, share, and subscribe. Uh, for you that are watching this after the recording is over, please put in there second watch. Check out my Instagram at Sincere the Artist, and also check out my TikTok. I got a lot of little TikToks there that talk about these particular situations, but in bite-sized doses that are easier to swallow. Because in here is a little longer format because I'm trying to press in on certain points and double down on certain things so that you can get an overall broad perspective of the topics that we're talking about. I got another one-on-one coming for you guys soon, and I got some more topics coming up uh, here in the next one. So until next time, grace and peace. See you next time.